functions, arrow functions, and a solution to the Day 7 challenge of the 21-Day Coding Challenge by Lighthouse Labs. With the adoption of ES6, arrow functions are being used more and more often. My experience as a recent bootcamp graduate included little mention of the syntax. Because of this, I was surprised to see the arrow functions being used this time around in the coding challenge. In particular, yesterday's Day 6 challenge included a link to an article with hints to solve the challenge, but they were written using regular functions. This contrast between regular functions and arrow functions can be a little bit jarring. Because of this, I'd like to spend the next few minutes comparing the two. When starting to code, it's important to know that functions and arrow functions are different, but you can treat them as if they were the same for now. In brief, arrow functions inherit this from the enclosing scope. If you're interested in learning more, I'll include a link to a friendly article in the description below. Let's take a look at some examples and highlight common areas. I've written two functions here that accomplish the same task. Similarities include the same function name, check if voter, same function inputs, name and voters, and presumably the same code. To call either of the functions, we use familiar syntax, check if voter, passing name and an array of voters. Taking a look at another example, we have the function add1. This function takes a number and adds 1 to it. Similar to the previous example, they share the same name, inputs, and code. To call them, we once again use a similar syntax. Hopefully from these two examples, whether we're using functions or arrow function, it's a little easier for you to discern the two. I have a challenge for you today. On the screen are two regular functions and two arrow functions. Pause the video and see if you're able to convert them to arrow functions and regular functions, respectively. How did you do? Compare your results with the answers displayed. You might be wondering, why use arrow functions? Well, for one, it makes working in front-end frameworks easier, it can make code more readable, and reduce lines of code. With that out of the way, let's tackle the Day 7 challenge. After being elected to office, we're tasked with determining what issues are most important. Taking a survey containing a number of topics in the form of an array, we need to loop through the items and count how many times a particular topic appears. To start, I create an array count that will count and increment each time we find a particular topic. The challenge informs us that we're only concerned with 3 topics, so our array will only contain 3 indexes. Next is the for loop, for interview of interviews. We move on to the if statements that will check if the current interview topic is one of the 3 topics we're counting. If it's smart city, arts funding, or transportation, we increment using the ++ operator in the correct array index. Finally, once that has completed, we return the count to successfully complete the challenge. This brings us to the end of the episode. If you want to be notified when the next video is released, click the subscribe and bell button below. I'll see you tomorrow.